Welcome to the Panic Room, where we talk about all things panic-inducing. I am the Queen of Panic. Warning, some episodes may contain content that may be disturbing to others. Viewer discretion is advised. Now let the games begin.
You want my name? My name is not important, and it stays forgotten, for it is no longer needed. Who I used to be was weak, and so is the name given to me by my idiotic parents. I am known as Creepy Mistress by all who speak of me. Why Creepy Mistress? Well, you see, that's a long story. But that is what you came here for. Well, where should I begin? Maybe to start off with that, I never really knew my producers. I was left by a dumpster when I was only 3 years old, with a note that said only my birth date, and that name that still evades me. This isn't like every other story, where the baby cries and is found by a loving nun. No, not at all. I was found by a mailman that happened to walk by, and he took me home. Sounds like a nice guy, right? Wrong. He wasn't anywhere near nice. He molested me and kept me locked up for 2 years, until I finally escaped. I got my revenge later. I spent the next 7 years in different foster homes. When I was 12, I was sent to Austin, and that's where everything began. I was just starting at Bedichek Middle School, but I looked like I should be graduating from high school. I was quite shapely. I wasn't too thin, and I wasn't too pudgy. My breasts were well developed, already a D cup at the age of 14. I was pretty. Guys tended to be attracted to me, but I wasn't interested in them. What does that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with what happened. Now please, refrain from interrupting. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. I wasn't a normal teenager, but I did have one friend. His name was Josh. He was crazy, but nowhere near my level. I met Josh by the cafeteria. Sitting there talking to him, I could tell something was up, but every time I asked, he just shook his head. I looked around just in time to see it. There was a boy, and he was very handsome. But he looked out of place. He stood behind a girl whispering in her ear, but she didn't turn. It was like she didn't know he was there. She turned to look at her friend, and as she did that, the boy picked up her tray and threw it at a girl on the other side of the room. The girl turned around and looked at the girl, who seemed to throw her tray, and angrily threw her lunch tray back at her. I scratched my head. The boy was gone. But where did he go? I looked, and there he was, sitting halfway across the room, watching the whole thing, laughing. I looked at Josh. "Did you see that?" I asked. Apparently not.
Huh? See what?
Josh responded. "That boy, he started a fight."
What boy? I don't see anybody.
He looked in the direction I was pointing. I shook my head. Never mind. Josh looked at me and began to tell me the story of the school ghost. I listened as he told me the many different ways this boy was said to die, all of which were horribly gruesome. He said his name was Billy. Billy? As I said his name, I felt cold air on my neck. The hairs on my body stood up, and I heard a faint whisper.
"Yes, my dear. I am here."
It felt almost like a hand was on my shoulder. Josh looked at me.
Are you okay?
As soon as he asked that, I heard a growl from behind me, and then as quick as the feeling had come, it was gone. The day from then on was anything but normal. Many times throughout the day, I felt that same touch and heard words in my ear. The last time I heard it said simply,
"Meet me in the theater."
I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen, but curious. I went anyway. The feeling that hung in the air should have warned me to turn back. It was dark, too. The only source of light was one small spotlight. I slowly walked towards it. As it got closer, I saw that there was something in the middle of it. I walked up onto the stage and stood in the middle of the light. On the ground there was a single red rose and a piece of paper. I picked them up and looked at the paper.
"Dear beautiful, will you dance with me until the end of forever?"
As I finished reading the last word, I felt the gush of wind on the back of my neck again.
"Well, my dear, what do you say?"
Before I could answer, I was staring at him. Billy. His eyes like charcoal reflected me and everything behind me. I felt his ghostly hand in mine. He wrapped his arm around my waist and held me close. He starts to move, and he dances me around the room. I couldn't look away from his eyes. He's beautiful. He's so amazing. He looked into my eyes, and in a ghostly voice whispered,
"I love you."
And I loved him, and I wanted to be with him. My head felt light, and anything I was thinking had vanished. It was like a voice that had told me I'd do anything for him. He smiled and kissed my lips, and who I used to be vanished. He whispered in my ear.
"Do you love me too?"
I nodded. He smiled.
"Then prove it."
He placed something in my hand, and then was gone. I looked down. In my hand was a beautiful axe, double-sided with white ribbon tied around the bottom. Upon further inspection, I saw the letter CM carved into it. "What does CM stand for?" I asked aloud.
"Creepy Mistress. That is who you are now."
It sounded like it was coming from the axe. I looked down as it glowed a blood red. A smile spread across my face. Yes, this felt right. This is who I was. The newscaster was heard the next morning.
This just in. 7 teenagers were brutally murdered outside of Bedichek Middle School last night. 4 girls and 3 boys were found dead. Not very much is known about the killer's motive, but it is known that all 7 of the students were members of the theater arts program at the school. Police are doing everything possible to find the person responsible. Lord help us all.
I heard the sobs of my sister in the next room. Poor girl. Her best friend was killed last night. I left and walked to Josh's house, and from there we went to school. When we got to school, there were a lot of people crying. It was expected. Me and Josh didn't speak much until finally he asked me,
"So, did you go meet your little ghost?"
He asked, and I nodded in response.
"And what did he want?"
He just wanted to tell me he loved me, and, well, I think I love him too. Josh had a look of fear.
You cannot be serious. He's dead. What kind of relationship can you have with a dead guy? Please, if you know what's good for you, stay away from him.
Josh said. I shot him an icy glare. Who are you to tell me who I can and can't be with? He put his hands on my shoulders and looked into my eyes.
I just have a really bad feeling about this. So please listen to me. He's no good for you.
I moved his hands off my shoulders and walked away angrily. A school assembly was held that day. It was about the recent murders. I saw Josh at the assembly, but I ignored him. The principal came to the microphone. He spoke of the murders. As he listed the names, I could see it all play back in my head. How they begged me to stop. How their eyes filled with fear. I remember how good the girls' nude bodies looked as I kissed each of their lips and sliced each of their throats open with my axe. The boy got their turn, a quick kiss, and a quick death. My red lipstick marked their lips. After they were dead, I cut off their left ring finger and kept them as a trophy. I could still taste their blood. If they would have just stayed away from him, I wouldn't have had to do it. Billy was proud of the mess I made of them. I heard his voice in my ear.
Mistress, meet me again.
Luckily for me, the bell rang and I went straight to him. He was there waiting for me. He pressed his ghostly lips against mine.
My dear, you did a wonderful job protecting me.
I smiled wickedly. I'm glad you approve.
I do have one favor to ask you.
Anything for you, my dear. Josh entered the theater unknowing what waited for him. He had found the note that told him to be here after school. He went up to the stage, and in the middle of it there was a single white rose and a piece of paper. He picked them up. The paper read, "Dear Josh, will you dance forever?" As he finished reading, I held the axe to his throat. He dropped the note and the rose. "Well, what do you say? Will you dance?" I whispered in his ear. He didn't answer my question.
Who are you?
He asked.
What do you want?
I walked around him, keeping the axe to his throat. He couldn't see my face. My red hoodie was covering it. I laughed. How stupid are you? You came here tonight when there's a killer on the loose? Not very bright, if you ask me. I pulled down my hood and watched his face. He was shocked to know that his friend was the killer. I could see his fear. I could almost smell it.
Please, you know you don't want to do this.
I laughed again. Oh, poor naive Josh, you still don't get it. It's not about want, it's about need. If you would just have minded your own business, then we wouldn't be having this problem. If you had just let me and him be happy, I wouldn't have to do this. I'm sorry, Josh, but I have to do this for him.
Please.
He begged. I shook my head. I couldn't let him live, not after what he did. I looked him in the eyes and kissed his cheek. I'll miss you. I cut open his throat and he fell to the ground bleeding. I left Josh his dignity. The clothes were still left on his body after I cut off his ring finger. I even folded his arms across his chest with the rose in hand. I walked out of there, my axe in hand, the once white ribbon now stained red with my best friend's blood. Well, that's my story. Creepy Mistress is who I am. You stir from your slumber. You've been asleep for Satan knows how long. You look at me as I approach you, my axe in hand. Your screams fill my ear as your body withers. You beg me to stop, but it won't do you any good, for you tried to take him away from me, and I'm seeking my revenge. He loves me and only me. How could he ever love a bitch like you? Don't worry, I'll take care of you. I cut a quick slash on your upper thigh, and I lick the blood, savoring its salty flavor. You look at me with what looks like fear and lust in your eyes. I leave a soft trail of gentle kisses up your naked body, and my face now inches from yours. I look into your eyes and kiss your bottom lip and leave a soft bite. You're enjoying this. You're not hiding that anymore. You lace your fingers into my hair, holding me close to you. I pull my lips from yours and smile at you. Without another thought, I slit your throat and watch the blood flow from it. I give your neck a quick lick and cut off your ring finger before I take my leave. I gather my things, leaving nothing behind except for one black rose that I throw next to your body. I walk to the door and turn around one last time to look at your corpse. I shook my head. What a waste. You were so beautiful, and probably would have made a good lover. Too bad you had to try to steal mine away. I could have had some fun with you. I turned and walked to the door to find him there. He smiles at me and brushes his ghostly lips across mine. He is stronger than before. I can feel it. He's almost human again. He picks me up and he takes me away. If you have any stories that you would like to see narrated here on the channel, please go into the subreddit and submit them there. The link is in the description. Also, we do have a Discord now. Thank you so much to Creepy Clown Girl for putting it together for us. You can come hang out with me and other narrators and get the party started, get spooky with us. That link is also in the description as well. And last but certainly not least, I wanted to introduce the King of Panic. We have a lot of brand new content coming soon with him in it. He is very talented. He does not have his own channel. He just kind of wants to be a part of this. So if you would like to hear from him once you start and you like his voice, stay tuned here. And as always, thank you for visiting the Panic Room. You have successfully made it to the next portion of your tour. Please stay tuned for your next prompt. Click the like button and subscribe to receive notifications for when the next portion of your tour is ready to join. Thank you for watching. Don't let the panic drown you.